was broken hearted, I surely came. Sons that were slain for minimal gain. Youth that can't read, speech that can't talk. Passion to move, a love that won't walk.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Education is the Best Medicine. And thanks for watching. Remember, community public access is your best bet. Today is a show with a very good friend. I consider him, I consider myself to be a mentor to him and an elder, but also a friend. His new name is Zuberi, but we always have known him and loved him as Noonie P. And I wanted to have Zuberi come on and talk to us today about, well, he's just going to talk, because I just felt like he was an important person to come on, where there's been an epidemic of violence in the community. We find our young men being cut down and injured at an increasing rate. Zuberi is one such casualty, but not just a casualty, but one who has transcended and transformed. And I only wanted to talk about his transition and transformation, but you know, me, I like to have people talk about all the issues and all the hating and all the the innuendos and the stuff you talk about when things like this happen to an individual. So I wanted to give him the floor. Zuberi, welcome.
Thank you, George.
Thank you.
Nice to see you, good brother.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I want you to take us back to the shooting episode. I don't want you to talk about the shooter. I want you to talk about the episode and what happened as you awoke in the hospital.
Well, take you back. I am a native of Oakland, East Oakland, born and raised, Highland Hospital. It's a very important point. I was born in 1969, and I was raised in Oakland, primarily by my mother, and my family helped raise me. And I grew up in a Christian church and went to a private school until high school. Then I went to Castlemont High School and I graduated in '87. And I grew up dancing, dressing, loving life, loving friends, and encouraging anyone who would listen. Always wanted to be positive. So I never sold drugs. I never smoked weed. I never drank alcohol or did any type of drugs of any kind. And that was a pretty courageous thing growing up in Oakland. I mean, because many people around me did one or two or maybe all of those things. And I think I was a born leader. You know, I know I was. And so, but I didn't mind following friends that were positive, and even some of the friends that weren't so positive, I rubbed shoulders with. And because this was my community, these were my brothers, these were my cousins and my sisters. So, you know, that's, you know.
It is what it is.
Right. And so, you know, I also grew up modeling. My mom did some modeling, so I did modeling and dancing, and I got into rap music as rap came on the scene. I was privy to see Too Short in his beginning days at skating rings, and you know, just having a good time growing up in Oakland. It was a little violence, but it was really no gunplay. It was really just fisticuffs and, you know, manning up. You know, so. I didn't have to do too much of that myself, a little bit, but not too much, and was just having a good time growing up and being amongst Oakland people and loving Oakland. My background also, my father was a Black Panther. I didn't grow up with my father, but we hooked up when I got around 18, 19 years old, you know, and that took me to another place consciously. You know, and my mother had consciousness, but it was centered around more so the church. And so
tell me what it is for a young Black man growing up in Oakland. We see a level of miseducation for most of them. We see a level of disparity. We see a level of constant harassment by police and anyone you can name, and a constant disrespect. How, given your upbringing, how did that make you feel, and what were some of the things that you thought needed to be addressed?
Well, I believe that, the police were definitely running rampant all around Oakland. Sirens and helicopters, and I grew up when the crack first hit, the black community. I'm a product of that generation. Mm-hmm. Most of my peers were the ones who were selling it or was around in that era. So it was a very trying time. Mm-hmm. When I was younger, it was just, it was cool. It was laid back, summertime, it was fun, Eastmont Mall, but the police, they really, the task force, this is when the task force used to hit the hood, and I was there. I never ran because I wasn't doing anything, but they would beat brothers down, some that were just over there or maybe dealing drugs and maybe not. Mm-hmm. It was real tough that's when brothers really started getting arrested and incarcerated. And it was tough. Mm-hmm. It was real tough, seeing that, having friends, getting engulfed with the drugs and not knowing really what the damage they were doing, mm-hmm. or were pitted upon. And I saw it. Mm-hmm. For some reason or another, I saw it. And I felt there was a gamble that I couldn't win. Mm-hmm. It was as a poker player, I couldn't win that game, so I didn't want to play. Mm-hmm. But I saw it, and I saw the community just crumbling, mm-hmm. from the police brutality, which goes back to the 60s and the 50s, goes back to the Panthers in the 70s, mm-hmm. But it was, I felt like I didn't really have any power.
And there's some discussions as you're growing up, and I'm watching the same piece play out, that we see an extreme amount of drugs coming into our community. Not even that we could get a hold of it, or not even that we were the major distribution lines. We
Right.
were mostly on the receiving end or low-level selling.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I think it was chemical warfare. Out of nowhere, all this crack comes, and and drugs, and
And the money that goes with it, and all things that go with it.
Oh man, the brothers, they didn't understand how at the bottom of the line that they were really hitting them. They were taking all the hits, taking all the blows, doing all the time, and spilling all the blood, and only getting a minimum amount of the money. Mm-hmm. I don't think they realized that, but some brothers who had very low economic support from their families, lack of fathers, they saw a way of, making money, having a nice car. Yeah. And so, how could you blame them? Some did out of ignorance, some did out of greed, some did out of just survival, some wanted to just feed their families. And I don't feel that it was right, but I understand. Mm-hmm.
The reason why I bring it up, because we always tend to equate some sort of glorious lifestyle with that of a drug dealer. It's a very tough lifestyle. It's a very vicious lifestyle. It's one that pits you against family, friends. And one of the things I wanted to make clear is that we consistently see this strain with crack cocaine, and now we're seeing this again, this epidemic with methamphetamine, and not so much in our community, which is disconcerting, because as I understand it, there's more treatment going toward meth discussions than it was toward crack cocaine discussions, and that's one of the things I'm just seeing now. You're a dancer. Take us back to those times you're dancing, you're hanging out. Your uncle was a very famous individual, Jeffrey Pete. So you get your chance to hobnob with some very important and influential people. How does that make you feel, being so young, by the way?
Well, high school, I was a part of a dance group, and I somehow became one of the very popular players on that team, on that dance team, on that dance group. And my brother and his friends started a group, and I was a member of that group, and it grew up in East Oakland, and it was wonderful, and it enabled us. We wore Armani and all this stuff in high school. We wore We took briefcase. We were different. And this was right in the smack of the hood, right in the middle. And brothers, you know, you had to be real confident within yourself to do that. So I danced in that group. I did, you know, just freestyling, hip hop, you know, up rock, mainly just dancing, you know, stepping and just grooving. When I graduated from high school, I went to Merritt College for a couple years, you know, really wasn't serious, really wanted to do some entertainment. And then also my uncle brought me in as a promoter, you know, and he began to train me on how to promote. And since I was popular, it worked good. He said I was a natural. So, you know, I did that. And when he began to get, when he got his own place at 131 Broadway, he said, Noonie, you are ready. I think you're going to have your own night, which launched Hip Hop Thursdays. And that was the beginning of a new era under his reign. You know, under his club, I had my own night, Thursday nights. I see a lot of people still, they remember those times. And my night was very successful in his club, you know, and I was honored that he allowed me to have that. And it was Hip Hop Thursdays, and you had to be clean. You know, young brothers right now, they're not too clean these days, but they're doing their thing. But we had to be clean. You had to be clean to get in there. And it was just something that was a part of me anyway. So it was natural for me. And so I danced in there also while I was working. I got my groove on. And I also did some background dancing for a local recording artist, Kirby Coleman. And we did shows all over California. And it was pretty, you know. We were in concert with, at that time, Tone Loc, Salt and Pepper, and different people like that. And then I also was doing some rap, but dancing was my first love. And it goes back to childhood, dancing for my mom and my grandmother and them, and just getting my groove on. Known for dancing. And when I danced like it was my last dance. Right. And I'm proud of that. You know, I felt that. When I moved and I grooved, it was at my own pace. It was my own rhythm. And it wasn't that I was just this greatest dancer, but I love to dance, you know. I love to dance.
We'll take us further, maybe even a year before the shooting. What's going on in your life?
A year before the shooting, I was working on a record. I did a demo. My beloved brother, Jay Spencer, who has passed on, we had the same manager, Shakir Zaid, and we were just growing into our own little thing, looking for a record deal. Eventually he got one. It was some talk that maybe I would have one, but I didn't have one. So I was still working on that and also working, and I had a son, and so I was just working, striving. I was always a working young man, you know. So I had 2 jobs always, you know, and that was on the side of modeling, acting, was in a little movie and some plays, and performing for background dancer. So I was just doing all that, flourishing in Jeffries, meeting a lot of people, growing as a young man into a man, reading Black history. When I went to Merritt, I really dove into Black history. Dr. Cecilia Arrington, she motivated me, stimulated me, and really taught me a lot. And so I was just growing, my consciousness, my father, my family. So I was growing, learning and growing at the same time, doing the entertainment thing and just doing me.
Yeah. Your mom, you talk about your mom and your dad. How important are they at that particular time, and what impact are they making on your life?
More so because me and Pops hooked up later on in life. It was more me and him and me and my uncle. And my father was in Atlanta, so it was more me and my uncle. We were on the battlefield, and he was just grooming me, and my Pops was grooming me from afar. And Mom's, I kind of really didn't rub shoulders with her a lot at that time. She did her job. Job is never done for a mother, right. And that came back to tell the truth about my story as we go on, I'll say. But it was really just my uncle and my father just lacing me, encouraging me, giving me knowledge, spiritual understandings, and just teaching me, you know.
Well, you know, it's evident you're a very strong male personality, and that reflects in a lot of our conversations. How could that be to your detriment?
Well, sometimes lions growl because that's their nature. But as you grow older, you have to pick and choose your battles wisely. And you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, and know when to walk away. Where a lion's nature and energy is to attack, is to eat, is to protect his family, to protect his area, to protect his village. And so even though I wasn't aggressive, but that was my instinct, that was my energy. You know, I now, after my incident, I became more aggressive with not holding back. There's no time. Even though I was aggressive on the dance floor, I wasn't aggressive politically or speaking, or I wasn't aggressive with
culturally or all
right. I wasn't aggressive, even though I was growing in that. But it was my nature, and I was honing those skills. You know.
How did your son change your life? He's born during that period.
He's born, and I wanted to go to school in Atlanta, and I said, well, I can't leave because I have this new son, and I love him. Me and his mom's relationship didn't work out, but we're still cool to this day. But, you know, it was real tough, you know, because I wanted it another way. My goals and visions for my life was to get married and then have a family and take care of him, you know, and but it didn't work out. Single parent dad, I'm just raising him the best I can, loving him, teaching him, you know, and it was wonderful, man, at that time.
Your interest in history start to come together. You start seeking more of yourself as a man. Noonie Pete is changing into Zuberi.
Right. Metamorphosis.
Yeah, exactly.
Evolving.
What are some of the things that start to stick out in your mind?
Well, the thing about the club energy, some of that energy didn't just flow with me spiritually. You know, even though I was in it, I really wasn't of it. You couldn't tell, but I had a different calling. But I love the club. I love to be fly and G'd and sharp and love to dance. I love people. I'm a people person. So I'm a people person, and there's no hate in me. You know, I got love for most people that are real, you know. And so it just was something in me. All the stuff that's going on, alcohol, I really didn't drink, even though I was a part of selling it, not physically, but in that club atmosphere, and the things that come with the little local perks and all the ladies and all this stuff. It really...
You're a young black man in an upper echelon situation.
I understand. It was like
meeting and hobnobbing with folks that want to know you.
It was a lot going on.
Yeah.
And at times it got overbearing, you know, and it really wasn't about that. You know, it wasn't about the ladies. It wasn't about clothes. And life began to teach me that, you know, as I went on, you know. And but it was I enjoyed my life from day one, you know, and I have no regrets. You know, like I said, I've always gave my all at anything I've done. So.
In the second part of the show, we're going to talk about the shooting. I want to also say that on our way up here, we really have to adjust our headspace and timing about folks with disabilities that prevent them from moving up on a curb or getting into a particular building. On our way here tonight, trying to get you into the building, a car was parked in the driveway, and it was really hard to navigate it. So I wanted to kind of have a discussion about, you know, what are some of the roadblocks and barriers for you now with this discussion that you have some limited motion and movement in your legs?
Well, where there's a will, there's a way. However, since I'm paralyzed, so-called paralyzed, it prevents me from climbing certain mountains physically, you know. You have to get creative. You may have to go the long way around, you know, but you can get there. You know, you got to buck up. You got to tighten your boots up, suck it up, and keep it moving. So, and the strength is in you. I think the Creator put it in all living things, not only human beings, but living things. And so you got to dig down deep. And but it's tough. Every day, every minute, every second. It's not easy for, I don't think, for anybody. But it's in essence of putting a backpack with bricks on your back, and everybody else have feathers in theirs.
Or new Nikes.
Right. you know, and physically going up that mountain with those bricks, and everybody else has feathers, you know, or they may have a different type of brick, but mine's physically is it's overwhelming at times, but God has given me a pool of strength that is, you know, drowning me all the time. So I thank God for that. And my family, my people, it's in me. So you can get it.
You started a new business. Tell us a little bit about it and some of the things you're hoping to accomplish with it as we close the show out.
Right. Well, I started an entertainment company. It's called Black Souls Entertainment, SOULZ, Black Souls. And it's an entertainment, and it's a conglomerate of companies. Part film company, which we will produce, write films and documentaries and plays. Part fashion company. We're going to do a clothing line for men and women, starting out with men, with a brother of mine, Dante McClinton. He and I will be the main designers for the men and women clothing line. Then we're going to do a record company and all that entails, which is a deep level of consciousness behind the whole company. You know, we also going to do a publishing company. I'm writing my first book. It's called Proverbs for the Black Man, a little small handbook, and poetry books. And anybody who I believe, and our staff believes, that can come through that window will come through. We're going to publish books, papers, essays, and it's going to be a strong company here in Oakland and worldwide.
It's staying quite busy.
Yes, okay. Definitely.
Fallacies about Zuberi Noonie P.
Well, I am definitely a winner, a go-getter. In spite of my condition, I keep dreaming beyond my circumstances, and I keep pushing, and I have displayed that in my life, further in my education. Went back to school and got my bachelor's in history education with the emphasis on black studies at Clark Atlanta University. And I'm a winner. You know, that's why I'm still here. So any mishaps or thoughts of me that
you're gonna give up or quit.
Right. There's no quitting in me. Okay. I wouldn't be here now. Okay. And I've done it drug-free. You know, in excruciating pain and fire going up my spine. But the love of my people, the love of my children, the love of my family, and the love of the Creator, God, keeps me moving and strong.
We're going to do a second part, and I think I want to end this part by saying that for every individual, and particularly in the Bay Area, that's been shot, it affects 10 other people, maybe even 20, or maybe even 30. We want to talk a little bit about the impact on your family from the shooting. You know, I want you to take us back to the night of the shooting. But before that, I want to say thank you for coming on. I think that we have wanted to have you on for a long time, but time and space, and I had to be ready to talk to you. It took us a little while to come together, but I'm so glad we did. I think that you are a beacon and a light for what can and what should be. In the final minute, closing words?
Power, spirit, revolution of the mind, body, and spirit. That's who I am. That's who I personify. And that's what we're fighting for.
Well, we want to thank you for coming on. We look forward to the second part of the show. I I want to first always say thank you as a black man for bringing light to a very dark world. Your insight and intelligence and bravery is something we all can learn something from. And we want to ensure those listening in the sound of our voice that you're fine and you're not going anywhere. And that's one of the reasons that we want to have you come on. We try to do truth, ethics here, and dispel rumors. We don't want to have history, we want to have history. So I want to thank you for bringing light to a very dark world. And if visions are seeing things you haven't seen, Zuberi, Noonie, Pete, you truly are visionary.
Thank you, good brother.
Thank you for
Appreciate
coming
it.
on.
It's my honor. You know.
The second part's going to be good. We're going to run right through that. And so we'll go from the shooting.
Yeah. In the world, y'all check it. From mama's broken hearted, I surely came. Sons that were slain for minimal gain. Youth that can't read, speech that can't talk. Passion to move, a love that won't walk. I speak to you, my heart and my soul. My family and folks, what I surely owe. My 100 double O, nigga, ride a flow to the beat, here we go. And it's so. I was born in the city of dope. If you survive with the live, gotta pray to cope. When the players about to call it.